I don't want to cover the slide. I mean, just look what it says. It says sight, smell, etc. Anything can trigger it, and we'll see in a second that this whole gastric juices and all that garbage stuff, how much of it is secreted at each level, right? We're going to talk about a cephalic phase, brain, right? Special senses. So what's going to happen is, my bag right here, if I think about me eating my carrot, just think about it, I've just released 40% of all the stuff that is going to be needed in order for me to digest it, right? So it's just not only me biting into it, and this kind of makes sense. When you're very hungry and you're thinking about food, what does your stomach do? Right?
It's getting ready.
It's just, it gets all crazy. It's like fighting or something in there. And the only reason that's happening is because of something we're going to talk about in a second. It's called feed forward. I want to have everything in here that needs to break the food. I want it to happen before I put anything. I want all this, and then after this happens, guess what? As this travels down the esophagus, I want all that good stuff in my stomach, right? G cells, D cells, GR cells, parietal cells, and chief cells. I want them to do all their work before stuff gets there. Why does that make sense? So you can do it faster. You can't just have stuff there and then just start the progress. And that's really the main thing, feed forward. And again, it just doesn't have to be me eating it. It's external stimuli, which is here. So before I put it in there, right, I can still release all these things. And there's a question on the exam, but I don't think, there's a question on the exam that I didn't talk about last time, but when we get there, I'll tell you what's going on. Cool? The only thing that I said that before, there are more nervous fibers in the enteric nervous system than your spinal cord, which is sick.
More nervous fibers?
I'm sorry?
Nerve fibers?
Nerve fibers. There are more nerve fibers in the enteric nervous system than your whole spinal cord. And obviously, you have in 15.9, you have the spinal cord, and you have the stomach, and the small intestine, and blah blah blah. And the only thing you really have to know is, when we talk about digestion itself and all this good stuff, what is going to mediate it? Parasympathetic, acetylcholine. Okay. What is going to stop it? What is sympathetic always hooked up to? What neurotransmitter? Somebody make me happy. What? What neurotransmitter? When we talk about sympathetic. Yeah.
Oh, it's the choline?
Norepinephrine. Cool. So norepinephrine is going to inhibit it because that's sympathetic. Parasympathetic is going to promote it because it's acetylcholine.
When he refers to the enteric system, is that the whole thing?
The whole thing is the enteric nervous system. The whole GI tract, blah blah blah, all the way, enteric nervous system. Are we good? 15:10. Obviously, this is what the stomach looks like, and it's very cool. Check it out. On this is the picture over here. You can see mucosa, right? Submucosa. And you can see muscularis. And look at muscularis, it looks really cool because it actually looks like meat, which is pretty sweet. And it's very cool because you're going to look at these pits, these gastric pits, what they're going to be called. What is going to be under them is vasculature. Because we'll see in a second, the only reason there's vasculature under them is because hormones, endocrine hormones, are going to be secreted from there. And the top, there's going to be enzymatic things happening. And the bottom, we're going to talk about different cells that are going to secrete hormones. And where do hormones travel? They need vasculature, right? So that's why they're in the bottom.
Wait, these gastric pits are in the lamina propria, right?
I'm sorry?
The gastric gland, like the whole thing, the pit and the glands in the lamina propria. Isn't that in the mucosa that doesn't have vasculature?
See, it's in the mucosa. I'm talking about like the tip of it, right? The majority of it, where is it sitting? It's sitting in the mucosa, but guess what's under it? What's under it? What's under mucosa? Submucosa. Okay? Are we good? And it's very cool. What we have in here, this is what? What's in here? The lumen of the stomach, right? Make sense? The bottom portion that contains vasculature, we can call that the basal membrane or whatever you want to call it. Here, lumen, here is basal. And the thing is, what I want to point out is the lumen or the stomach is where you're going to have exocrine substances going there. Cool? Because again, this gastric line, we're going to see exocrine and we're going to see endocrine. Exocrine is going to be half shooting out in here. Endocrine is going to be here, the bottom portion. And obviously, endocrine substances need to go to the blood because that's what they would travel. They need blood in order to travel in the vasculature. Gastro, just whatever terminology. Gastro always refers to stomach. Entero refers to intestine. Usually small intestine because the large intestine, we don't talk about it, but it just does too. A small question could be, what portions of the nervous system stimulates gastroendocrine cells and enteroendocrine cells? What portion of the system, nervous system would stimulate that? And it's just going to be as simple as enteric nervous system.
What portion of the nervous system?
It's going to stimulate gastroendocrine cells and then enteroendocrine cells. Entero, we think of intestine. Gastro, we think of the stomach, right? Because they still have endocrine cells. A lot of people miss that out, and I'm sure one of you in here missed it out, because I did when I first did it. They're doing endocrine cells.
Enteroendocrine?
Yes, enteroendocrine cells. Entero means intestine. So what's going to initiate that is the enteric nervous system.
Now, what would the other options be?
Huh?
Like, if you were to write that question, what would the other options be? What would it have?
It doesn't matter. Just whatever, just know it's enteric. I mean, you could put whatever. I don't know. But cool. And what component of the enteric nervous system is going to control this specifically? And when we think of control, what do you say to me? Submucosal plexus. Control, right? It's different if you produce and it's different if you control. So, the stomach secretes exocrine for digestive and obviously endocrine hormones, which will definitely cover that. This slide is goofy. The only thing you need to know is you find in the stomach unicellular endocrine glands. That's it.
So these are all unicellular?
Yep. Anything in the stomach is unicellular endocrine glands. Okay.
Exocrine glands.
Endocrine.
Oh,
Endocrine. Yeah, sure. Motility of the GI tract, slide 15-12, is going to be mediated by muscularis externo. Said that 3 times, make sure you get that in your head. So in general, we have an inner circular layer and an outer longitudinal layer. Okay? And obviously the muscle we're going to be talking about is the visceral smooth muscle. So it's unitary, and does it have gap junctions? And the answer you should all say to me is yes. Why does it have gap junctions? Because we're talking about nerve fibers, right? Crazy as hell. Nerve fibers.
Question.
Yes.
For 1511, are these also unicellular endocrine?
Everything in that page is unicellular.
No, the second page, for small intestine.
Oh no, we'll get into that.
So
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get into that. I don't want to. Cool. So